welcome to Behind the Lines. I'm Diane Dayton. Today we're going to talk about an event I look forward to every single year. And this year it's the 33rd year of the Boscov's Berks Jazz Fest in Reading, Pennsylvania. And with us right now we have Mike Anderson. Mike, you've been the logo designer. You're also the Berks horn sax man, and you're the organizer. And Andrew Neu, you are a composer, a saxophonist, a recording artist. Thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
Yeah,
Always.
and you both are all over the place when it comes to this festival, which runs from April 5th through the 14th. That's that Friday through the following Sunday. So, Mike, you were there at the get-go, and you've been doing the logos. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, from day -1, a bunch of us got together, and someone who had experience doing this sort of thing said, "This is good for Reading. Here's how we're going to do it. Are you all behind us? We're going to do it 3 days." And we said, okay, let's give it a shot. And actually, VF Factory Outlet was the first sponsor that got on board to do it. And it's increased the number of days and the scope of the project till one day it reached pretty much a 10-day festival. And they've been using the logo consistently. I used the logo back then. I said, well, here's how it looks on a shirt. What do you think? They said, okay. and nice. For good benefit, they've used it consistently. Like I said, even though it's changed some sponsors, it's intact, and it's the voice of the, or at least the graphic voice of the festival.
Yes, it definitely is.
Yeah.
And Andrew, this festival is a premier festival. Tell us a little bit more about your feelings about that.
Oh, I can't say enough about how much I love this festival, and having been around the country and even around the world playing at different festivals, and so often you go into these places and you see different people and different people running it. And this festival, we come back, we see the same familiar faces. We see our friends, we see our family. I mean, because they really are becoming family. Both the staff, the crew, the volunteers, the fans, of course. Mm-hmm. And then so many of these same artists, in a good way, we have coming back because, number one, they're incredible artists. But number two is they're really nice people. They get along well, and they bring an incredible show that people really want to see. And they do something fresh every time they come back, which is because they kind of pair them up in different combinations that you wouldn't necessarily see when you see them out on the road.
Yeah, exactly. And that is one of the unique things about the festival. Another unique things are the horns, the Berks Jazz Fest horns.
They were the Berks Jazz Fest horns, and now they're just the Berks horns. But several years ago, 22 years ago, John Ernesto came to me and said, Greg Karukas is looking for a horn section to back them up. They work with different horns in different areas where they go. And I said, are you ready to rumble on it? So I put together the horn section, and we played consistently, so there's that word again, year after year, with basically the same configuration, same trumpet player throughout. And it's basically a three-piece horn, but we add other people like Andrew at one point in this festival, and it's fun.
And you get to play with some amazing artists.
I know it is. We played we played with Jeff Golub, Chuck Loeb, and Nick Coleone, but we also play with Gerald Beasley. We play with a ton of them. I have a whole list of them.
That's right, and there's going to be quite a few times we can hear you this year at the festival too, right?
Sure. Yeah, we're playing this is at April 12th. We're playing for Grover Washington Jr. tribute with a number of stars on that. I'm playing the next day with Rick Vito, who is a blues guitarist, composer, and singer. Anyway, that I'll be playing Barry sax. That's not with the horns, it's just me. But the next day, the Sunday, I'm playing with Brian Bromberg and friends, and Andrew's going to be joining us on that. We're doing that. We've had an expanded horn section, and it's a lot of fun. That we played with Brian many times.
Oh, and that's always a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Because if you know Brian and what he brings together, and that is the last Sunday, and that's
it's
brunch.
a brunch.
Yep.
Yeah, at the DoubleTree.
In the Grand Ballroom.
Grand Ballroom.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to that.
You've got a lot going on too, don't you, Andrew?
Yeah, I'm going to be tying up the festival that last day with Mike and the Berks Horns and Brian Bromberg's show. And Brian and I go way back. I mean, he helped me working on 3 or 4 of my albums actually. So, and I played on the last 3 or 4 of his albums too. So we have a really great relationship, and I was really thrilled to be able to work with him. But my big show for me, I'm doing with organist Bobby Lyle, and we've worked together the last couple of years here at Berks, and it's just the chemistry was so great. So we're going to have Bobby playing his Hammond B3. We're going to have the Bright and Tight horn section, which is a horn section that I've been working with for years, and it's going to be a really big show. We're in the small ballroom, and that is on April 6th at 4 o'clock.
Okay, yeah, that'll be really, really great.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different things going on. There's an educational component to this, which I think really helps set this festival apart, right?
Absolutely. I want to jump in on that just because first of all, I'm a product of a public school music education program, so I'm a huge advocate for music education, specifically jazz education. I come from a family of music educators and musicians, and I do some teaching myself. And one of the things that's so exciting is that for me, jazz isn't nostalgic. It's alive and living and well with students who are between the ages of 15 and 18 and my college students that are, into their early 20s. And they're empowering this music, and they're not just keeping it alive by maintaining a nostalgic idea of it, but they're actually finding their own voice within this music. And every time somebody plays an arrangement that might have been written many years ago, or a classic jazz tune that might have been written in the 50s or the 60s or before that, all of a sudden this is something that's brand new, and it's being created and inspired by teenagers. They're keeping it fresh, and I love the fact that we're able to mentor students this age with the experienced musicians that have been touring and out there in the trenches playing it, because there's the academic side of learning music and learning jazz, and then there's the real world experience. So we have that balance.
Do you want to add something to that?
No,
Mike?
I would say the performance is stellar. That these people the students get to perform with the top-notch musicians that are out there, and the top-notch musicians are willing to share their experiences with the students happily.
Absolutely, and I
Yeah.
think that's another key part with the festival too, how accessible everybody is.
Right.
The artists with the attendees as well too, and I know you see
Sure.
that too.
Well, especially a lot of the artists stay at the same hotel where they perform, and people who stay at the hotel get to speak to them in the lobby and in the
It's like these jazz cruises where everyone's just kind of in the same place, and you walk
Exactly.
down to breakfast, and you're standing next to someone at the buffet that you just saw perform the night before. It's very. It makes everyone real, I think for the artists, it allows them to connect with the fans in a way that's different from standing on stage with lights on them to looking out at a dark room to suddenly like, hey, let's, hey, how's the eggs this morning,
Yeah.
And then for the fans who, just love the idea of just getting that inside track on what the artists are thinking, all of a sudden they realize they're real people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And what's great about this too, you have your major concerts, and you also have other things that are going on in some of the smaller venues throughout Reading that you can attend as well.
Yeah.
And boy, you can't beat those jam sessions, can you?
No, that's right. Gerald Beasley puts those together.
I
pretty
know, and
much.
Gerald is so great at that. He's so gracious about getting everyone in and moving everyone through, making sure everyone gets their game time, but keeping it exciting for the audience. This was, I think, just sort of an afterthought when they first started doing this many
Started
years
at the
ago.
old Peanut Bar down
Yeah.
in Reading, and
And I remember
expanded
the jazz bass over at the Crown
Yeah,
Plaza.
we moved it around.
And just little by little, it got bigger and bigger and bigger. The one time we had it out there by the pool deck.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
was
remember
interesting.
that.
Yeah.
Yes. It was one of those things, well, we don't want to stop now, so let's put a late show in.
Yeah.
So that's where it went.
And they kept coming.
Yeah. So tell me, what do you think is going to be one of the things you would like to check out at the festival this year when you have an opportunity? Is there a show that sticks out to you that you think you would like to check out that you may have time for?
I don't know exactly which. There's so many to choose from. Probably the acts that I had not seen before.
Right, which we'll check out too.
Right.
I'm glad Tuck and Patty are back.
Oh yeah.
That's going to be a lot of, and Joey Alexander.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be wonderful
incredible
to check out
artists,
too.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I think Tuck and Patty were at our second
It's
fest
been
that
a
we
while
had.
because I
And-
got to interview them as
Yeah.
well too, so that was really a lot of fun. Keiko is going to be back as well.
That's right.
Some of the venues that we have, it's going to be in the grand ballroom as well as the small ballroom, at the DoubleTree in downtown Reading. But we also have the beautiful Miller Center for the Arts, and isn't that a great place to perform?
Oh, I love the Miller Center. In fact, I'm going to be doing the show with Keiko Matsui with the Reading Pops on the next day after my show on April 7th, and that's going to be super exciting. I mean, I love that venue. It's just the right size for certain shows. You want to have that bigger sense of being in a real theater, but it still has a sense of intimacy to it.
Yeah, it sure does. And the Scottish Rite is also one of the other locations that we're going to be in.
And that's
a
been
beautiful
around for a
place.
while. We've used them for various things. And it's great.
It absolutely is.
Actually, Pat Metheny is going to be.
Yes.
I haven't seen his performance in a long time.
I mean, you've got
I'd like to see that again.
Yes, and so would I. So what you need to do is to go to berksjazzfest.com, right? And you're going to find out all the major concerts as well as some of the smaller venues. You're going to also find out profiles. You're going to hear podcasts and check out a lot of other good things too. So I can't wait to hear you guys when you're there and to maybe get a little hang time at some point too.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I play his arrangements right.
Oh, there you go. Okay, well then you've got something to work on.
Apologies ahead of time for that. So.
All right, we're going to take a brief pause, and when we come back, we're going to hear a lot more about Berks Jazz Fest. Stay with us. Welcome back to Behind the Lines, and we are talking about the 33rd annual Boscov's Berks Jazz Fest in Reading, Pennsylvania, coming up on Friday, April 5th through Sunday, April 14th. It's going to be 10 fun-filled days, but some things actually start a little earlier than that, and we're going to find out a little bit more about that, because with us this time we have Mike Eben, and you are the Get Jazzed chairperson. Thank you for being here. And John Ernesto, of course, the artistic director here of the festival. Wow. It's great to have you both here. The education component is so key to this festival, right, John?
Oh, absolutely. It's been a pet project, that goes back to the mid-'90s when we started the Berks High School All-Star Jazz Band. And that's been going on since 94, 95, 96. I don't even know the date off the top of my head, but the mid-'90s. And it's from that, there's been all kinds of activities, master classes. We've tried over the years to engage young musicians. Fortunately, Mike, being a former teacher, had a real handle on it. He was very involved with the music educators of Berks County, and his love for jazz, and as an educator, but also as a performer, he really got involved with the festival to try to build the program up. And it was, we could sit here for a long time talking about the swings and the misses, getting kids to come out. But we finally, the last half dozen, 10 years, got it to a place where it's been consistent. Kids are coming out, and today, I mean, this is from, I'm not an educator, but when I see, we just did a jazz ed program on the road yesterday. And when you see that a lot of the young kids today, they're so advanced from where we were back in the 90s and in the early 2000s. some of these kids are ready to hit the road, when you
Wow.
listen to them.
Wow.
And I don't know how Mike feels about that, but it just seems to me that they're further, if it's because of the education programs at the schools or the opportunities outside of schools, but the kids seem so much more advanced musically today
Yeah.
than years ago.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's something to run with, isn't it, Mike?
That's right.
Yeah. So this really happens on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday after the first weekend. So we're
Right.
looking at the 7th, the 8th, and then, let's see, actually the 8th, the 9th, and the 10th. So on that Monday, what's going on with that, Mike?
Monday is a jam session. It's Reading Musical Foundation and Project Penske sponsors the jam. This stems back to a jam session that I used to host years ago. We used to run it in the local music schools, Aswitz Music, and then from there it morphed, moving to the schools. We actually hire a group of musicians to come out and perform for and with kids
Oh,
at
wow.
schools. And now with Berks Jazz Fest now, we get to do this with some big names on the first Monday of Jazz Fest. So it's a lot of fun.
That is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So if you want to be a part of that,
If you want to be a part of it, you can register online at getjazzedberks.com. But you don't have to do that. You can show up the night of and just come out either to watch or to participate.
that's good to know. You might get inspired. So
Yeah,
you can
absolutely.
be there and do it. So what happens on Tuesday?
Tuesday and Wednesday is our scholastic days, and that just started this past year. Scott Litzenberg with Berks Arts runs that show. That's 2 days of activities for school big bands to come in and
okay.
participate. I believe we have 30 schools signed up over the 2 days.
Wow.
Last year we had, I think, 26 schools participate, so it was really popular right away. We have a lot of schools returning this year that did it last year. So it's a day of big bands are adjudicated. Then they have a clinic where they get to work one-on-one with a clinician. We'll have jam sessions throughout the day. We'll have master classes and workshops throughout the day. So kids are free. They'll be there most of the day. They can roam through, the hotel and just see all the different things that are going on there. They can go to all the different classes and things. They'll have an opportunity to learn and play.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
a great way to navigate through everything,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, and a nice thing this year, the master class on Monday, the midday master class is featuring Steve Smith,
Yes.
the legendary drummer from Journey, jazz drummer. He's going to be in the area. In fact, he's going to be at Mickey's Black Box on the day prior performing, and he's going to come up and do a master class for the kids during Get Jazz Day. So,
Wow.
and with his trio, which is really cool.
Yeah,
So-
that's going to really be a great experience for everybody. What happens then on Wednesday?
Well, Wednesday's a continuation of what we've done on Tuesday.
Same
We'll just
thing.
have more bands coming in. I think on Tuesday we have mostly middle schools and a few high schools, maybe with not as much experience. And Wednesday we'll have probably some of the more advanced high schools come in. But those 2 days really have the same basic format throughout.
Okay.
And they'll be they'll be adjudicated for part of it, so they'll get some critique that they can take back with them. Their band directors will discuss with them, but then they'll also get one-on-one participation with a clinician, and then coming to jam sessions, and we'll have those, will kind of be open sessions where the kids can either play and or just sit and watch if they want to. But it's a great opportunity to mix and mingle with some big name Jazz Fest artists.
Absolutely. Well, we got to plug your show. Your show is actually the Saturday prior to the kickoff, so it's
Right.
on March 30th. It's 3 p.m. at the Yoakum Institute for Arts Education. Tell us about that.
Well, we're going to do a tribute to Doc Mulligan. It's going to be the third time we've done a show like this. I have some small group music that Doc arranged years ago, and Doc has arranged for everybody. I mean, he's arranged big band music, small groups, he's arranged for vocalists. He even arranged for country artist, was it Ronnie Millsap, I
Ronnie
believe.
Millsap, yeah.
Did an arrangement for one of his
Okay.
recordings. And Doc is really the impetus behind our whole education system. He's Get Jazzed. The interest that he took in the kids and just wanting them to become better really is the impetus for the whole thing. We also, leading into Jazz Fest, we've already done a whole month full of jazz events We had a vocal day beginning of the month of February. We had an instrumental day.
Oh, great.
We've had jazz on the road where we've gone to the settlement school in Philly. We were just at Mickey's Black Box on Sunday. So we've had lots of shows where we, again, working with great clinicians and getting the kids to participate.
Wow, that's key. Well, John, you've been putting together some great festivals. I mean, this is the 33rd year. And what I think is very novel is the fact that you're open to different combinations of artists and to different shows that they want to put together. Talk a little bit more about that process, John.
Well, early when I first started this project or this lifestyle, whatever you want to call it,
All of the above.
one thing I learned quickly was it was important to develop a relationship with the artist, and over the years, that has culminated with the ability to work with people like Gerald Beasley, Rick Braun, and Chuck Loeb. That kind of, my wife calls them my holy trinity, and but they were always open to sitting down and talking about how to do something different. I just didn't want to present the same shows that you could see at other festivals,
Right.
and that's not possible to do everything different, but to create experiences for the fans that were different. And through that process, we put together some amazing shows. Chuck was he was really good at it because he really enjoyed it. He was a real producer, and the one that stands out, well, two things. He took over the Thursday night jam, and kind of really, when we first started doing that jam session, it was like one tune. It would start, everybody played it, and they went around, they came back, there might have been two tunes, but so we realized that's not a format that's going to work, so we decided to make a show out of it, and still had that freedom of a jam session, but it called an organized jam. But Chuck took the leadership of that, and really developed that program, and but the one, for the viewers, we lost Chuck in 2017 to cancer, and the one show that stands out for me for the when I look back, and we were sitting around one day talking, and he was a big Wes Montgomery fan, loved Wes Montgomery's music, played Wes Montgomery's music, and he said we should do a Wes Montgomery show, and I said, well, it's okay, so we came up with this idea. And then we started identifying guitar players we wanted to have on it. So we said, how about this person? So some of them were, I had to find a spot in the festival for them so they could be there to do another show. So we ended up with 7 guitar players. I'm going to screw up here, but it was Chuck, it was Larry Carlton, Jimmy Bruno, Pat Martino, Russell Malone, Earl Klugh. I'm sure I'm missing somebody, but there's 7 of us, 7 of them, and with a killer rhythm section. It was, and Chuck programmed this music, and it just went off. It was amazing. It was amazing because backstage, the camaraderie of the artists was, and there was no egos.
Right.
And then the thing that always stands out to me is how the other musicians had a respect for Pat Martino. He was like the godfather backstage.
Absolutely.
And it was just so much. There was joy just to perform with him, and it just went off. It was an amazing night. And Wes Montgomery's son came in from Indianapolis for the show, and so it's one of those magical moments that just happens. It comes together, and so.
And that's what I think Berks Jazz Fest is. There are a lot of magical moments. There's a lot of collaborations.
Yeah,
and each time it's new and has energy.
Yeah, I mean, just like when it was with Andrew and Bobby Lyle this year. That started out as an artist who had to cancel on Andrew's big band show last night. And Bobby sat in, and now he played the B3, and then it was great.
And there we
so
go.
they got to do it again. So that's how their show this year is. So I think it's one of the things I take a lot of pride in. That, and I shouldn't get all the credit for it, but the willingness of artists to come up with ideas over the years, and we're always open to that.
Yep.
and just so we can do some things differently.
Well, I'm glad that you do what you do, and I'm glad that the festival's here 33 years. Go to berksjazzfest.com to get all the information, and we look forward to seeing everyone there. Thank you so much for taking time today.
Thank you, Diane.
Sharing what you do in your
You've been a
lives.
big part of the festival too, so for
well,
many
I
years.
enjoy it. Yes, thank you. And thank you for joining us today, too. I'm Diane Dayton with Behind the Lines, reminding you to look behind the lines. You might be surprised what you find.